Hi, everybody. First, let me say how honored and humbled I feel to have been nominated and selected for this award. I have so many amazing and inspiring faculty colleagues at Whatcom who are probably more deserving. I could spend this whole speech thanking people for their inspiration and support, but I will limit specific thanks to a few folks. I first specifically want to thank the student who nominated me for sharing her personal experience in my courses with an open, honest, and inspiring letter. She exemplifies the type of student who motivates my effort to always improve as an instructor. More on that topic later. I'd like to thank some other people who have been key in helping develop the Whatcom engineering program. Without these folks, I would certainly not be in the position of accepting this award. There is our engineering program team, Pat Burnett, Jessica Larson, Will Green, and Kelt Shira. The ideas, perspective, and effort you all bring to creating an outstanding student experience is inspiring to me. I also want to thank Rush Sharif, Ed Harry, and Heidi Eatma, and maybe others who I don't know about, who worked for years before I got here to start the WCC engineering program and create the faculty position I now inhabit. Lastly, I want to thank Nancy Maccabee. Without her support as the STEM division coordinator, I would probably still be trying to buy that first pair of scissors so my students could make stuff. I also want to thank my wife, Jill. I owe Jill my teaching career, after all. She beat me to the idea of teaching at a community college when she taught a course at Highline in summer 1999. She opened my eyes to this path to play a role in creating opportunity for students, regardless of their high school experience, to enter the rewarding and challenging path toward an engineering career. In fact, at my first interview for a position at Everett Community College, I claimed access to her lecture notes as one of my key qualifications for the job. I'm glad it worked. Jill is still teaching engineering as well, now an assistant professor and director of first-year programs at Western. We've supported each other in work and in life since we got married in 2001, the same year I started teaching at Everett. It's funny how my teaching career and marriage overlap. I think our kids, Sky and Charlie, don't think it's so funny. How many times have they asked us to stop talking about work at the dinner table? I have no idea. I think they do appreciate that we both have summer breaks to go on family adventures, though. This week marks the start of my 5th year at Whatcom. I've sat in Heiner listening to 4 of these speeches, and no mine cannot possibly live up to the examples set by my predecessors. I liked how Melanie's fantastic speech last year featured the theme of empathy. Reflecting on that, I've decided I need a theme for this speech. The best theme I can come up with is that this is weird. It's weird to be giving this speech to a webcam. It's weird to be starting this year on Zoom and Canvas instead of connecting with you all and our students in person back on campus. It's weird to be accepting this award at a time when the external constraints placed on me are preventing me from delivering the best work I know I am capable of. It's weird to talk about how my high expectations of students drive my teaching philosophy, which is probably what I would be talking about under normal circumstances, when I feel I'm falling short of the high expectations I set for myself. It's weird to be talking about any award in the context of the COVID pandemic and our fractured political climate. And it's weird in the context of an increased awareness of the racism and other inequities in our society to have the spotlight on me as a white cisgendered male who can check just about every privilege box you can imagine. Yet here we are. I need to give a speech during this week in which I am overwhelmed with the work ahead as I try to create an online experience for my students that measures up to what we do in person in the classroom. So I will try talking about what drives me in that work. I have the opportunity to really get to know most of our engineering students. It's not uncommon for me to have the same student in 4 or 5 different courses during their time at Whatcom. I've developed relationships with hundreds of students in my teaching career and regularly hear back from many who are now in the engineering workforce. Witnessing the growth that happens between our first meeting in an Intro to Engineering course and the final weeks of a sophomore level course like Applied Numerical Methods is what drives my work. I think of everything I do in my teaching in the context of how I can best support that process of student development. Ultimately, my goal is to meet students where they are at and prepare them to succeed in meeting their academic and career goals. That work entails dual threads of challenging them to develop a solid foundation of technical knowledge and supporting them as they develop social skills necessary for their eventual work as an engineer or in whichever career path they so choose. It means providing safe opportunities for failure in both areas, technical and social, so they can take risks, make mistakes, and learn. Here are a few specific examples that reflect my current emphasis areas. My Introductory Design and Computing course features a course-based undergraduate research experience. You might have heard the acronym CURE, to give first-year engineering students a taste of what it is like to work on a real engineering design team. Students in the course work on real problems and develop technologies that will be used in other cures in the STEM division. Regardless of whether their design is successful from a technical standpoint, each student gets an opportunity to work with a quarter-long team on a shared goal, communicate with their client, and wrestle with a technical problem with no known answer. I'm not the only one implementing a cure at Whatcom. I would be remiss not to thank my colleagues Katja Kraft, Jen Zovar, Tommaso Vanelli, Melanie Zabel, Lauren Menitis, Telia Sliegel, and others. We are all working together to increase adoption of this equity-promoting practice at Whatcom. You all inspire me in that work. I teach my statics course. That's about forces, with 3D printed models of objects and diagrams that students typically only see in textbooks. We are developing these models as part of an NSF grant that I lead in collaboration with Lee Singleton, who is doing analogous work in calculus, and Todd Haskell, a psychology professor at Western. We are developing and disseminating new learning aids and curriculum as we explore the underlying theory of how to make it most effective. We just received additional support from NSF this summer to expand the project to 3 other colleges. This expansion strengthens the data set we will analyze to test our hypothesis that the models will help address equity gaps in STEM, with active learning that better supports students with less developed spatial visualization skills. That's a common situation for women and students of color who are both underrepresented in many STEM fields. I also advise the advocates for women in science, engineering, and math. That's the Awesome Club, you may have heard of them, to create a space for women to support each other in their efforts to persist in the male-dominated STEM fields. And I am committed to doing everything I can to improve the culture of STEM and make it more inclusive. One example of this effort is a virtual teach-in we organized last February as one of about 20 colleges participating in #EngineersShowUp. This was part of a nascent national movement to challenge inequitable cultures in engineering. At Whatcom, we posted a series of 5 scholarly articles to our engineering program Canvas course. The articles cover different threads of inequity and racial bias in engineering education. I'm showing some of the titles here on the screen. We also invited students to engage and discuss and offered a whiteboard in the engineering lab where students could anonymously share their thoughts. As I mentioned earlier, I see part of my role as helping students develop social skills. To me, that includes engaging our students with ideas they may not expect in an engineering course and it may make some uncomfortable. Most of them just want to calculate stuff. I know we need to do more in our efforts to create a culture of equity for students inside and outside the classroom, and on our campus more broadly. But this is a start. So, I'm about out of time. I'll wrap up here. If you're still watching this video, thank you. I miss you all, and so look forward to getting back on campus and working together in person. Have a good opening week.